Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about none other than the fine lady you all have seen since starting the game, the one that greets you every time you join the game, none other than the receptionist, Seorin. She's finally up for summoning on the rate up banner, so if you're interested in obtaining her, and if you already did and aren't really sure what to do for her, let me um, tell you what she does and how to build her. It's not going to be quite easy to say what's the best build right now since we just got new artifacts, so it's still in the grinding stages of the game. They were released today, so there are going to be a couple artifacts that could be better, but while we're not able to test them, I can say for sure if they're going to be better, but we can still build her to help you clear the content, so you can farm the artifacts and then you can see if she's going to be better with the new artifacts or not. But what am I talking about? Well, let's just see what she does. Here we have Seorin. She's a water element hunter. She's a ranged unit. As you can see, she uses a ranged weapon, something of a submachine gun, something like that. And she is a breaker. If we go over to her skills, we can see that all of her skills deal break damage, so she's going to break in every skill. And she also scales off HP, so you're going to want HP percent and additional HP substats to increase her damage as much as possible. And what's her mechanic? Well, if you see her passive, you're going to see that she activates pinpoint missiles effect when she uses the following skills: Frozen Spin, Polar Surge, Ice Shard Magnum, or Glacier Spin. Ice Shard Magnum is her core attack, the rest are her basic skills and her intro skill, or the tagging skill, as I like to call it since it's easier to pronounce. When she does that, she activates pinpoint missiles that deal damage and break the enemy. So she's one of the fastest breakers I've seen. You're going to be seeing her do the break while I'm talking, but she's going to deal a ton of break damage, especially since her ult deals Almighty Break. She's going to destroy break bars, at least the one from Cerberus fight, she melts the break bar. And once she uses the pinpoint missiles, it inflicts Sub-Zero on target. Sub-Zero increases water damage taken by 1%. The key part that you have to take note is water damage taken and not water damage dealt, which means that she can work in a variety of situations, since if she applies Sub-Zero, every hunter and even Sun Jinu if she applies on sport skill, which she doesn't, but at least for the hunters they're going to deal 10% more water damage after you stack 10 times, of course, but she's going to stack really fast and she deals a ton of she launches a ton of missiles with her skills, since all of her skills basically under core attack use the launch missiles. Her skills are just decent damage, not amazing, but they deal a decent break, that's the important part, and give super armor, so she can't really be CC'd while she's doing it. She's doing the skills. As you can see, they're really just for breaking, and she deals a ton of break, so she's going to break really fast, and you're going to be able to go into your actual damage dealers that much faster. And if you're playing as Sang Jinu and use her support skill, she also deals a decent break, medium break, and when you break, she inflicts the break state for the additional 3 seconds, just like Goto, and when you put it in the break state, you activate the limited break effect, and that effect increases your damage dealt by 30% for 20 seconds. It's a good support skill, not as great as Goto Ryuji's support skill, since while the enemy is in the break state you deal 100% damage, but she's going to do that for 20 seconds, so it's a larger period of time while you're dealing 30% increased damage, so it's quite nice. And for her advancements, I would say the first advancement is really good. Now the Frozen Spin fires 4 missiles, so it's faster stacks on the Sub-Zero stacks, and it activates the overtake effect. When you break someone, instead it activates the limited break effect. When you activate limited break, it resets all your skills and your core gauge and power gauge are charged by 100%. So after you break someone, you have your ult instant up, which is a really fast ult charge up since she breaks really fast. And why does she break really fast? Well, because with the overtake, which is the effect you have before you break an enemy, you increase your break effectiveness by 50%. So you're going to break, as I said, quite fast. And once you break someone and your damage is decreased by 30%, so you just break, and then you lose the overtake effect. Once you break, you get the limited break effect, which decreases your break effectiveness by 50%. Since they don't have a break bar, it doesn't matter, but increase your damage dealt by 30%, your missile damage by 30%, and your crit damage by 30%. So once you break someone, she gets a massive boost of buffs to deal damage. She doesn't have the best ratios on her skills to deal massive amounts of damage, but it's still good enough damage to help your team. Apart from that, the second will increase your missiles on the other abilities, on the core and on the intro skill, or tag in. And the third advancement will be useful for her. It increases her HP by 20%, but for HP and defense scaling units. Right now, your best team for her will be with Alicia Blanche, which means that she's going to scale off attack and not HP or defense, so this advancement will not be good enough for now, at least for her main teams, but the further down the line, that could be in the anniversary or before the anniversary, that could be another water unit that scales off HP and or defense, and if that's the case, she's going to buff that unit as well as recover MP by 1.5% every 5 seconds. Infinitely, so you're always getting the buff in your team, so it's a really good support advancement. Then the fourth advancement will give you the entire water team if you're going 3 water members, 30% increased damage, which is really good. And the last advancement, it's basically own damage dealt buff, so if you're going to use her as a main stay to deal damage, you might want the fifth advancement. If you're just going to use it as a breaker with some support elements to buff your team, the fourth advancement is enough. The last advancement will, well, it also increases your sub-zero by 20% instead of 10, so it's still useful for the team. But it's basically, instead of 30%, you get 50% increased damage in your damage dealt, missile damage and critical hit damage, so it's a ton of more damage for her and a bit of increased damage for the team. But how do you build her? Well, you build her with either the new break set or the old one. Since she's a breaker and breaks really fast, you're going to want Burning Grid. Since it increases your break effect increased by 30% and your crit rate, your and your team's crit rate increased by 15% and crit damage by 30%. But if you have the new artifact already, or if when you see this, you already have the new artifact, which is, I have to, I believe it's the Desire set. Let's just go for this one. It increases, when attack deals break damage, it triggers the Desire effect. Since all her attacks deal break damage, it will always trigger. Increase the user's elemental damage by 0.5%, stacking up to 20 times, which is 10% in elemental damage increase permanently, so it's always up. The first set effect, when you stack the 20 times, you get the enhanced Desire effect, which will increase your damage by 20%, elemental damage by 20% instead of 10%, and instead of Enhanced Desire, when you have that set effect, you will get the Chaotic Desire, which will increase the user's skill with break effect by 50%, so your damage with the break skills will increase by 50%, which is a lot, and your team's elemental damage increases by 40%. So as a baseline damage increase, this is probably going to be better than the grid, since it's going to give you elemental damage increased by 40%, but if you're going to use her with a non-elemental advantage setup, because it's your best team and you don't have elemental advantage, you can use the grid for the crit rate and crit damage instead, since that's universal and doesn't depend on the element of your opponent. But it's a really good effect, and it's probably going to replace most of the time the Burning Grid set for breakers, unless of course you don't use it on elemental advantage, or if you're not going a full elemental advantage team, you have one or two that don't have elemental advantage, you could use the Burning Grid instead, since it will buff all your team members instead of just one or two. The main stats, obviously you're going to want additional HP and water damage with the crit damage on the boots. This is mostly all of the HP scaling units want that, so it's what you always aim to obtain. For substats, it's basically the same. You want additional HP and HP percent substats with defense penetration, damage increase and crit rate and crit damage as much as possible for the rest. The best artifacts will probably be the ones with as much HP as possible, with a bit of with the crit rate, crit damage and defense penetration or damage increase as substats. For cores, the best one is probably going to be the Nameless set, for now at least. It increases your damage overall, so it's really good. I really don't have any other one to replace it, so I'm using this one for now. And it's not really worth it. The damage taken decrease isn't that phenomenal, so just go for the Nameless Demons for now. If you have the Deimos sets, you could have a better one, but I'm still farming the Baran, so I'm going to use the Baran course for now. At least for most of my hunters, I'm using the Baran course. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Seorin. She's quite fun to use. She fights on a motorcycle, so it's quite funny to see. She's going to spin around and hit with the motorcycle while she's using the skills, and the gun when she's using the core attack and her normal attacks. But I would say, is she worth it to summon right now? Well, it depends on what you aiming for. The anniversary is coming, it's closer than ever, and the unit that's coming on the anniversary could be really good. It's probably going to be really good, so it doesn't flop. The anniversary at least doesn't flop, and in that case you might not want to summon for Seorin, since it's going to be since you don't want to lose all your progress for the anniversary. But as a unit, and if you really want a water breaker, I would say she's really good at breaking. She's one of the best breakers on the game. She breaks really fast, and her ultimate is the only one apart from Gogunhe that deals Almighty Break, so there's not really that many hunters that can break as much as she does, except for Gogunhe. So if you want a water breaker that will always be useful for water teams, she's worth it. But I can't say if damage wise she's going to be the best unit that is. And if you're better off holding on for the anniversary, that's going to be up to you. If you decide to summon for her, I hope this guide helped you a bit. And if you skip her for the anniversary, you have time until the anniversary, so you can hold on until the last day to see if she's really needed for the anniversary units. If the anniversary unit is a water unit that scales off defense or HP, then you might want to have Seorin on your team, and that in that case she's going to be worth it to obtain. The first advancement is really good, and the third advancement is enough for the team, with the fourth advancement being the last really good advancement for your team damage, with the last and 5th advancement being better for her own, but still good for the entire team since it decreases damage by 20% instead of 10%. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!